Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog Podcast. This time talking about Torchwood Series 5. Now, let's face it. You know, there's a lot of people on the internet going, "Ooh, Torchwood's back. Oh, that's brilliant." And then they find out it's on audio and they go, "Oh, it's an audio book. Oh, why couldn't it come back properly?" Or whatever local accent you use. But you know what? They're talking nonsense. You know as well as I do that this is where Torchwood belongs. On audio, with us, coming at you in your ears. Oh yeah. Now, Torchwood Series 5 has had some input from RTD. Yes, Mr. Goss is still in charge. But the RTD input, well, everyone is going to bow to his superior thoughts. After all, it's his sandbox. Yes, okay, it's got Doctor Who leanings, but let's face it, Torchwood itself, well, that's its own creature, really, isn't it? And so, Series 5 is with us. Now, Series 5 is an odd little creature because it's actually a series of boxed sets. Each box set being 4 individual stories. We can think of the individual stories as TV episodes. Now, clearly, this is set after the terrible last series on the TV. Yes, I know some people liked it. They're wrong. No, seriously, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I get that. I'm a Series 2 Torchwood person, and I always will be. And that's what the main range of Torchwood on Big Finish has kind of been, but this is not main range. This is the new series. It's nice to think of Torchwood of having more than one string to its audio bow. I mean, let's face it, it's had the BBC audio adaptations as well as books and a whole series of other things. It's practically an industry in itself. So, what you've got is you've got some of the original cast. Some of them sounding more like themselves than others, but for reasons which become very obvious eventually. So let's not dwell on those facts, which may or may not be spoilerific. Let's instead look at the 4 individual stories themselves. First off, well, changes everything. Yes, the original Everything Changes, well, that was episode 1 of Torchwood, ever. So this is Changes Everything, is, in a sense, a reboot, a restart, if you will, a reintroduction. That's better. We're in for the long game. And the continuity that comes out here is much more likely to be, well, let's use the word official with rabbit ears than, say, stuff that just gets mentioned in passing in the other main range. So as it's an introduction, you've got a lot of ground to make up. You've got to say what's happened since, well, the nightmare that was Miracle Day. Going on and on about the fact that everyone spent a year not dying seems to have been, in the best traditions of science fiction, completely skated over, not mentioned once. And you know what? I can let that go. I hope you can too, because it's just not important, and to be honest, it just felt like a massive mistake. It just didn't work. The fact that there's another immortal out there who's an American just isn't mentioned. Again, these are 2 things that were part of Miracle Day that I just wanted to ignore, and I have. And so have they. Sigh of relief. 4 stories, 2 by Mr. Goss, and 2 by other people, Juno Dawson and A.K. Benedict. You've got some new characters turning up. You've got the washed out policeman. Think the assistant who could be. Yes, Torchwood's always looking to hire, but we've got some new characters here. We've got Gwen, who sounds like she has a frog in her throat at least, or at least something going on. We've also got other characters. We've got the new head of Torchwood. Now, do you remember the James Bond film Never Say Never Again, where Sean Connery's character James Bond wanders around and is given new gadgets by Q? And everything's very low-tech, grubby, falling apart, very English warehouse. It's not exciting and spy-based. Well, that's what's happened to Torchwood. It's grubby, it's falling apart, it's underfunded. It doesn't have the exciting, money coming in from all of its alien inventions. No, none of that is applicable anymore. It's out of cash, it's broke, it's running on empty. And Torchwood itself's been ignoring Cardiff something rotten, and Cardiff itself is reasserting itself. There's a new alien race in town, and that is the ongoing theme of the series, or apparently so. Weirdly, these aliens aren't invading so much as moving in, behaving like an allegory for the Russian oligarchy who's turned up and bought up most of London. They behave like footballers' wives, like characters from The Only Ways Essex or even Geordie Shore. Well, perhaps not that grotesque, but you get what I mean. This is a different Torchwood. A Torchwood for this decade. For 2017, where things are just a little bit harder than before. Things are just a little bit grubbier, and yet they have had the hope drained out of them. That's the sort of Torchwood we're dealing with. Yes, Tyler Steele, the brand new journalist character, may or may not end up being or working with Torchwood or indeed against them, but his story arc is an important aspect of this whole box set. So episode 1 really consists of the setup, while episode 2, Aliens and Sex and Chips and Gravy, also by James Goss, now that is a highlight of the box. Because, like I said, you've got the whole footballers' wives as aliens getting drunk on cheap medication is the so Torchwood. It's the most Torchwoody Torchwood story in the whole set. For me. But that's because this is my take on Torchwood. For other people, the episode Or, which I'll be talking about in a moment, could be the most Torchwoody Torchwoodness in the box set. And perhaps that's true. In this story, you've got your footballers' wives' approach to aliens. And that is great. You've got arranged marriages. You've also got the great introduction of the big bad. And the big bad, well, is she truly that bad? Yes, you've got the sexuality of Torchwood being up there on the list, but it's not as obvious in this story. That is until we come to story 3, Or. Now that is a very different kettle of fish. Think polymorph from Red Dwarf, someone who changes their form to match the desires of the person that they're with, but set that in Cardiff. And that is your basic setup. Throw on the exciting world of Jack and the emotional interplay of all of the characters, and you've got yourself a little gem. I don't want to say any more than that, because there is more to it. And you can almost smell the streets of Cardiff. It's so visceral. Which brings us to story number 4 by A.K. Benedict. Now, A.K. Benedict has a big track record. A good find. And she's big on Torchwood. It's important. But there are, and I hate using the word trope and meme and that kind of thing, but there are recurring themes in science fiction. And let's face it, it's called the superiority complex, and you can figure out what's going on in the first couple of minutes. It's not the mystery of what's going on that is really at its core. It's how the mystery is solved and fixed. I don't want to say any more than that, because obviously this is a boxed set. The stories all do fit loosely together. Of course, they can be listened to individually, but I wouldn't bother. I'd listen to them one after another. So, I'll let you hear the trailer and decide for yourself, because this is the beginning of something glorious for Torchwood. A Series 5 that I think we can all be pleased with. I'm glad that the main range isn't going anywhere, because those stories set in the 70s or the 40s or the 80s or even Victorian era all bear some resemblance. I just hope that the impact on this particular version of Torchwood, their echoes are too important to ignore. There are characters in old-fashioned main-range Torchwood who I'm desperate to appear here. And as for the ongoing storyline with Gwen, well, that I can't wait to develop. And I'll let you listen at great length to this particular trailer for Torchwood Series 5, Part 1, Aliens Amongst Us. Be seeing you.
Who are you?
Torchwood.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Torchwood, Aliens Among Us.
Look at this city. I used to feel that Torchwood protected it. That Cardiff was my city. Not anymore.
Everyone is welcome here because Cardiff says no to hate.
For God's sake, listen to me, listen to me. I don't know what she's done.
I heard rumours about a secret police force who kill aliens.
What is Torchwood?
Keeping you alive.
Barely.
I'm going to bring peace to this shattered city, to unite it.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey,
Let me
The whole city invaded, and no one's even noticed.
Oh, some people know. They just don't care anymore. Torchwood is dead.
Big Finish. We love stories.
I know who you are. You're bloody Torchwood.
Finally!
That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.